The equipmentless movement progressions are the foundation of the 12 Minutes to Fitness program. They are designed to build overall strength and to maximize movement potential by systematically training all of the systems of the body in an integrated fashion and in all three planes of motion. This will not only improve a student's ability to move, but also help prevent injuries. Though the movements are easier at first, there is still enough differentiation that all students can succeed and be challenged. The progressions can be used in many ways, but they work especially well for instant activities, warm-ups, and circuits. When done in reverse order, they also work well as a cool-down. The 12-minute time frame is derived from the approximately 4 minutes it takes to teach the students the moves, and then the 8-minute circuit that can be done immediately afterward. This is only one potential way of using the movement progressions, but it does help in lesson planning and also in building a consistent class routine. The first movement category is balance. Balance is a required element of almost all movement and can be improved through training. The first balances are static, but then stepping to balance and bounding to balance in the three planes of motion are introduced. Students naturally find their level of success and challenge by closing their eyes, taking bigger steps, or bounding with more amplitude. The second movement category is mobility. Mobility is flexibility plus strength. The goal is to build range of motion while building strength and joint integrity through that range of motion. The three movements we use to begin the program are hurdle circles, slide squats, and a combined move called lunge, reach up, and lean. The primary focus of these movements is to build hip and trunk mobility. The third category is prone, side, or supine strength. There are 3 exercises from each of those headings, and their primary focus is building connected core strength. The first step is learning proper form for the various plane holds, and then moving in those planes is added. The fourth category is squats and lunges. We begin with the basic parallel stance squat and progress to staggered and split stances. The lunges again focus on moving in all 3 planes, going forward in the sagittal plane, stepping laterally in the frontal plane, and drop stepping diagonally backward in the transverse plane. The leg movements are differentiated by the depth and length of the squat or lunge, and by giving the student 3 basic choices involving their arms. Placing the hands on the thighs provides assistance. Placing them on the waist increases the demand on the legs. Finally, reaching toward the floor with one or both arms not only increases the demand on the legs, but also integrates the upper and lower body into the movement. There are also 2 squats we call 80-20s. The idea behind these is to take the body weight on both legs on the way down, and then mostly transfer it to one leg on the way up. Not only is this similar to what happens when we move in our daily lives, but it also is a nice progression as we build towards single leg support movements. The last 4 movement categories focus on breaking down the elements of movement, with the goals being to improve coordination and to enhance the brain-body connection. This begins with the 5th category, which is called arm patterns. These arm patterns involve moving in all 3 planes of motion, and again involve movements that occur in real life. They begin with the basic arm mechanics for running, and progress to moving laterally, diagonally, and rotationally. The 6th movement category introduces foot patterns. The foot patterns are done with hands on the waist, so the student can focus on mastering rhythm and coordination. They begin by stepping in a 4-count rhythm and progress to jumping in that same rhythm. If a student is movement compromised and is prohibited from jumping, they simply stay with the stepping rhythm instead. The seventh category asks the student to combine the arm and foot pattern to solve a challenging and fun movement puzzle. We call this section brain food, as the brain-body connection is working hard to figure out the rhythm of the combination. Students are reminded that there is no wrong answer to this puzzle, as each person can invent their own arm and foot pattern rhythm. By teaching the arm and foot patterns separately, the student can put any combination of those patterns together, which allows for a multitude of movement challenge possibilities. Another benefit of these movement combinations is it helps prepare the students for the sometimes awkward and chaotic positions their bodies are asked to deal with in daily life, especially in sports settings. The eighth and final category involves linear and multidirectional locomotor movements. Though this first instructional DVD includes only linear movements, subsequent task card and DVD offerings will progress the students to multi-directional challenges. Also, the creative teacher or coach will quickly recognize that the linear movements demonstrated here can easily be adapted to multi-directional movement puzzles. Again, we start with the basic stepping patterns and then add speed to the equation. We march before we skip, and we step before we shuffle or run. As speed is introduced, it must not be done at the expense of rhythm or overall coordination. These movements can be done in squad formation or used more dynamically across the gym or field. Thank you for taking the time to watch this introduction. We hope this DVD helps you achieve your goals of making your students or athletes strong all over, more injury resistant, and better at everything they do.